Hi, welcome back to the channel of Construction and Quantity Surveying Tutoring. My name is Buxton. I would like us to complete what we've been doing concerning the substructures in preparation of the bills of quantities. So far so good, we've done quite a considerable amount of items. We've done all the items concerning the concrete work, the formwork, and so on. Today, the only items that are remaining is from walling, DPC, and also finishes to the plinths. So that is what I would like us to cover straight away. Normally when you are doing walling, concerning what we've been doing in relation to the rules of the substructure items, we have covered the rules of how to do the same. Walling is supposed to be measured in square meters. So when it's for the substructure level, then what you need to do is get the length of that particular plan, and the length you can read from the plan of your estimation, or the plan that you've been given, the structural, to use in estimation. So normally that is what you do, and this same wall, this same length, now when you are doing the walling, the length is going to be different from the one that you used for excavation. So just to make things in order, even before I go any further, my new members, those who are getting to this channel for the first time, the catch-up videos for all the preparation of bills of quantity steps are going to be attached on this channel. So you don't need to worry, because you can start on this and then catch up with the rest of the videos later on. That said, so I'm trying to explain the estimation of the walling. So when you want to get the walling, normally there are two different types of lengths which are associated with the substructure walling. One of them is for the excavation. So the same length that you used for excavation should also be used when you're doing what you call the blinding and the concrete work. Alright? Now when you're doing the walling, now the substructure walling, the length is going to be different. So this is the only part that you're using a different length apart from what you used for the excavations. Okay, and the reason is, when you look at this plan, for instance, you can see the bases. For example, you can see base B1, and you can also see this is another base B2. So realize that at a time when you are doing the excavations, I just want to take a drawing so that you are able to see. Let me take this pencil here. So normally when you're doing the excavation, you can see the layout where the excavation is supposed to reach. Okay, that line, okay, the dotted line shows where the excavation for the bases is supposed to be reaching. Okay, so for the bases and also for the footing, you can see where it is. But then now things change when you're doing for the walling, and the reason is, at the walling time, the wall is going to be done until it's close to the column. I hope you can see that very point. So that wall, the length is therefore different, because you can see at this time the wall is going to be built until it's attached to the substructure column. So I also want to show you this in illustration. So this is the illustration of the walling, and you can notice that the wall is in touch, or is in contact with the column. Therefore, unlike the excavation, where you had done the excavation for the column bases aside, and therefore leaving some space for the trench, or having the trench to be shorter than the intended total length. Therefore, you notice that in this case the wall is measured to be in contact with the column. Therefore, that length is going to be longer than the length that you are supposed to use for the excavation, and also the strip footing, and the blinding and the strip footing. So that is the basic illustration that I can give for you to get in how to handle the length. And also taking the plan into consideration, the one that is you can see the length, or the extent in which the wall is going to be done. The wall are the ones that have been crossed. Okay, so the crossed ones, and then the dark ones are the columns. So for the columns and the wall, then you can notice that the length we are going to take the whole of that point in contact with the columns. So basically I was just illustrating how to go about the length. But because what we need is to measure our walls in square meters, therefore we are supposed to get the total length that we have for the walls, and then we get the height. And of course that being that these are substructure level, there is an allowance in terms of assumption to give for our wall. So we'll go to the side as we normally do. We go to the side to make our calculations for the wall. So we'll just do it walling, and then after that we'll provide for the total length. So the total length now, it's different. We are not going to use the same length that we had used for our excavation. So we are going to calculate our length afresh. So I would like us to see how to go about the same. So let's let me just bring this to be a little smaller. Alright, that's fine. So as usual, we read our plan from our plan so that we are able to see according to this plan. There is 1100, then 3200, and also 1200. So you notice that the plan, it's not very complete. So how do we go about that? So what we'll do, we'll read it in conjunction with the architectural plan so that we see exactly what we need to have at that point. So the plan, the ground floor plan, let me just get it. That is now the first floor. So we want, and then this is also different. So let me just get the structural, the architectural plan for the ground floor. Yes, so here we are. This is now the architectural plan that is able to show you. So normally you have to remember that when the structural plan is not comprehensive enough to give you the total length that you need, then you can always switch to the architectural plan so that you get the dimensions which are not clear on the structural plan. So this is the one that we have, and I would like us to extract the drawings or read the dimensions which we need for our taking off for the walling. So looking into this, you can see the wall starts from grid D1 to A1. Okay, that is along the vertical axis. So this is 3700. I'll just zoom it in so that you're also able to see it. This is actually it's 5.7, not 3.7 as I've said. So this is 5.7, the complete length, and then on the shorter side, or the width, that is going to be let me see if it's shown here. Okay, I can see it here from grid 5 to grid 5 to grid 7. Grid 5 to grid 7, that is 1200 or 1.2, 1.2. So the rule of estimating the walls also states that you need to measure it from the center line. Okay, and the concept of center line has been explained in one of my videos, in the sense that any length that is to the either outside face of the wall or the inside face of this walling is going to give us the area which is not actual, or which is not precise according to the rules. The rule states that you need to measure it from the center line, and you also use the mean height, or the average height. So that noted. So I would like us to measure the length. So it's going to be 5.7. Okay, 5.7 is the length on the longer side, and if I could just zoom it in again, that length is to the outside. So we are supposed to get to the inside. I mean the mean of the same. So what we'll do, from the 5.7 we are supposed to subtract, or rather we can just take it as it is, then we'll subtract the corners at the end of the day. So this is the other side is 1200 from the centers. So we need to add 1.2 plus 1.2, and of course the wall is 200 millimeters thick, therefore we'll add the 2 faces to the outside. Okay, so that is one option. So another option that we can adopt is we take the 5.7 and we subtract. Instead of adding and then subtracting again, we can go it straight away. We take the 5.7 and then we subtract the outside, or the halves to the top and halves to the bottom, so that we subtract those 0.1. Half of the wall is 0.1 because the wall is 200 thick, so it's 0.1 to the bottom and then 0.1 to the top, so that we do it straight away. So I believe that is a shorter way. So that is 5.7 and then we subtract 0.1 times 2. Okay, and then we add 1.2 plus 1.2 for the width. So once we have that, we shall be having a length and a width, and then for us to get the perimeter or the center line, we now add those two and then we multiply by 2. Okay, so when we multiply by 2, we are getting a total length of 15.8. So we go to the structural plan, so that we confirm what is supposed to be added and what not. So looking into this, within that length there are columns. So normally, because you need it net, and you are also assuming that this number of columns are so many, and then when you now leave the columns in between, then you'll find that the wall, the effective total length or total area of the wall of the columns that you're going to leave within the walls is going to be higher. So normally you can subtract those walls so that you have it net, those columns. Like in this case, I'd like us to subtract column C1 and column C2s, and the column C2s were 500 millimeters on the longer side. So we are also going to subtract the 0.5 times 2 for the columns. Okay, and then now column C1, we have C1 at this side and also C1 on the other side, so we also need to subtract those 2 columns. So when we do so, these columns, they are on the face of 200. Okay, so 200, having that we've considered on the upper end, we've already subtracted, so we only subtract on the inside 0.1 and another 0 and another 0.1. okay, so we'll also subtract, so we can have a bracket here, and then we add 0.1 for the column on one side and also another on the other side. So we have it as 14.6 for the walling only. So that is the effective length. So once we have that, we need the area, that is what is of interest. So we take the total length and then we multiply by the height. Height is going to be assumed at a minimum of 1.5 meters. So the total area is supposed to be 21.9. That is rounded up to 22 square meters. So that is what we get in terms of the length. In terms of the area. So that gives us a square meter of 22 when you round it up. So let's fill our big bills of quantities. So that is 22 square meters. Alright, so 22 is here, but I would like us to make up a description as usual so that we have a comprehensive bills. Normally when you're making up a description, you start with the thickness of the wall. So it's 200 millimeters thick, natural stone walling in cement. So basically you just describe how you are making up that particular wall. Cement, sand, 1 to 3, the mix. so you can make it that way. Mix 1 to 3, so this is stone. Right, so 200 millimeters thick natural stone walling in cement sand, mix 1 to 3. So basically that is how you go about foundation walling, and the principle remains the same even when the wall was bigger than that. You describe it as we've just mentioned. Then the next item, which is also coming also in touch, or is also considered part of the walling, is the DPC, or the dam proof course. Dam proof course, or you can call it the DPC, width of 200 millimeters. So normally you need it, it's going to be, the DPC is normally laid at the point when, on top of the walls. Right, so it takes the width, basically it's going to be laid on top of the foundation walls to prevent the damp rising above it. So it will you'll use the same width as that wall. And of course, even if it will be having overlaps, the rule states that you need to measure it net, so that you don't need to include all those overlaps that may be associated with it. So the dam proof course, it's 200 millimeters in width, and then we do it in linear meters. So we get to what we've done to the side and confirm what that length is. Remember, in this point we subtracted for the columns and so on. So I would like us to see the total length, and so this length is going to be the same as what we used. The length for the DPC is going to be the same as what we've used for our what we call the wall, the area for the walling. So we'll use the 14.6, so that gives us a length of 15 meters. Alright, so once we have that, then straight away I would like us to see what we have also for the plinth. As usual, we also take we also teach, or from these illustrations I also take chance to show the editing, easy editing skills that you might use for Excel, or when making the bills of quantities. So I will copy this. I want to insert just below it here. So I will just copy, Ctrl C after you've highlighted, and then I click that cell and right click. When you do so, then you insert copied cells. But because you notice that for my references later on, there are items here that I will need. Okay, let me just confirm it at all. If at all there is what I need to do away with, or well, so I can only do away with these other ones, because what I'm going to do there is new from what is in place. So being that it's blank, then it's definitely not going to interfere with the items that I've done underneath, so that is very, very okay. So I want us to do finishes to plinths. This basically should be coming under the finishes, which is a different element altogether, but it's normally done together with the substructure works, assuming that you've done everything that is associated with the substructures complete, including the finishes to the plinths. But somebody will be asking what plinths are. That's why I also have to show, using an illustration, what the plinths basically mean. So in some cases, or in most cases, you will notice that there is always black painting to the outside of the building, just at the side of the slab, and also part of the foundation walling. So that is what we call the plinth. Plinth basically is now that part that is covering the edge of the slab, and also part of the foundation walling that is protruding beyond the ground surface. That is the plinth. So finishes to it means plastering that surface and also so allowing some black bituminous painting to the surface. So basically that is what plinth means. So with this illustration, it's easier for you to understand that when you are estimating for the plinths, you need to get the total length to the outside face of the wall, or you can use the same length that you use for the formwork of the edges of the slab, and then you multiply by a given girth. And that given girth, from this illustration, you notice that you should be having part of the slab and also part of the foundation walling. So let's get to work and see how to estimate for that. Okay, I can use this part to also do our calculation, and the first one is plastering. Plaster So plaster, we can use sand to cement 1 to 3 to surfaces of the plinth. So that is basically plastering of that surfaces. We should have it in square meters. So what we need to know is the length, because from the illustration you are able to see that the area is supposed to be given at the surface externally. So we need to get the length, and for us to get that length, it's the same length that was used for the formwork to the edges of the slab. All right. So that length, the edges is we were given the length to be 44 meters. That is what we had calculated. So if you are new to the channel, then worry no more, because the illustration is simple. If you need that length, get the same length that you used for the formwork to the edges, at the external edges of the ground floor slab. So in this case, our length is 44 meters. So take the 44 and then you multiply by the girth. But you'd wonder, what did you use for this girth? So this girth is constituted of two things. One, it's better when I also display the illustration again so that you're able to see. One of the areas, or one of the girth for the plastering would be edge of the slab. So first of all, you are aware, you know the length, the girth, the width of that, the thickness of that particular slab. In this case, it was 150 millimeters. And another one is to the underside of the slab. Underside of the slab means that part of the foundation walling that is exposed above the original ground surface. In this case, I can see it's 1 course. All right. But for our case, what we are using, it's not yet shown, because you are not really aware of what is going to be left. You know, the one that I'm using for illustration is a different project altogether, just to show you, or just to use it to explain exactly what is intended to be done. So it's 44 meters for the length, and then for the girth, we are going to use 0.15. That is for the slab only. Okay. But then we also need to add that part of the foundation walling above the original ground surface, and in this case we are going to use 0.15. okay, so that would be varying, that particular dimension would be varying from one project to another. Okay, so in most cases, like what we are using, let me check if at all that dimension has been drawn here. And yeah, you can check it from the strip foundation, or you can check it from this place, and you can see what we have here. This is now what's showing the foundation, the columns and so on, and it's not been provided. So you make an assumption of what is the dimension that you're going to have above the ground level for the plinth. So we've taken 0.15. and that gives us an area of 14 square meters. Okay, then in this case, after you've plastered, then you need to paint 3 coats of black bituminous paint. This is also in square meters, and the area is similar to what we've done for plastering. And of course we also need to make our editing. Okay, this is now M and this is N. Okay, so we have that in place. And looking at what we've done so far, just to make sure that everything is in order and taken note of, I can see the substructure works is complete. Okay, so let me just confirm our editing so that we make sure that everything is properly edited. Alright, so this is A. Just confirm the items, because you don't want to imagine doing a proper document and then you are numbering or item the way you've itemized your items is very much off. That would really be terrible. Perfect. So this looks okay. Page 1 looks okay. Then we go to page 2. JK. This one also looks okay. So carry to collection. Always just remember to make sure that all your items are summed up. And of course, being that we are not taking note of the rates at this level, not just yet. Of course, we'll do it. We'll build the rates later on. But now, what we are doing, you make sure that your formula is in place. That is one step. Okay. Of course, the points where we'll be having on this column for the rates, we'll insert the rates, and then automatically we make up for the amount by multiplying the rate and the amount. So you make sure that all your formula is in place. So we can start from above here. So this simply means you'll multiply what you have in cell D and also in column D and column E. So when you do so, then you are supposed to have all those workings in place. So you can just make for one and then you drag it down. It will copy for everything. And of course, the part that don't have any figures, you can just delete so that your document is proper. Alright, so I delete all those other ones. So that looks okay. I do the same for the next page. You multiply the figures, column D and column E, so that should you enter any figure here, just for example 175, it automatically multiplies so that you have the amount, and they are the amounts that you will be carrying forward to the collections and so on. Okay, so just leave it that way. The same formula you should copy it down here, copy it here, so we have that in place. Alright, so we copy that, paste it there. So this is what you will need to do. Yeah, it's easier for you to have this in place at the moment when the document is still not much comprehensive or bigger, so that it's easier. Not that doing everything all at first and then you will come later on to do the editing. So for your summation, there is a formula in place, but that formula, let me just undo. When you click on this, you can see there's a formula in place, but then it's not capturing up to the last item, which is going to give you arithmetic errors for your calculation. So from this point, you can see it's dragging. You can just have your cursor there. When it brings to you that sign, then you just drag it downwards up to the last cell where you need it to be. So in that case, our formula is already in place and it shows that way. Alright, so then you go to the collection. At the collection level, this we had made in our previous session. Those making a catch up, you can just click, I think it's the second last video that we did, showing you what we are doing in terms of editing here. So brought forward from page, so confirm if that page is okay, the reference I mean, cell reference, and also confirm if that is also okay. Then total for the substructures, we are adding these two. We are adding item 1 and item 2. Basically the items just beyond that particular column. So this gives us total for substructures carried to summary. So it will be the summary for the builder's work, not yet the grand summary, because that is going to come at a later stage, or at a later stage, when you shall have captured all the items that you need to capture in this particular point. So basically that is what you have, and as usual, keep confirming if the structure of your print preview is in good shape, so that when you are done with this, then you will be sure that you don't have to do so much editing. So this looks okay. That looks very much okay. So I would also like to introduce our next part that of coverage. So what we've done is a comprehensive coverage of the substructure works. So anything related to substructure works, right from the rules, right from the interpretation of the drawing that we had, is well captured. So we need to go to the next element. So this was bill 1, and bill 1 we talked about substructures. Then there is another one that is left called bill 2. So how do you go about that? Because you know these are fresh Excel, a new or a fresh Excel sheet. So we need to introduce another editing here for this other part. So what we'll do, you notice that there are a number of items that are still here. So you can always do what you call, in this case I want it to be totally new. So let me see how to cover for this. So alternatively, because these items are ending, they are not going beyond the next page. So alternatively, I can take this collection to the next page. I can copy this collection here to bring it on a totally new page, and then I'll delete this other one. Okay, then I delete this one, so that I don't have to hide any other item on the other side and start the next bill on a fresh page as well, without having to skip a blank page. So I'll just format so that I do away with these borders on this page where I don't need them. So just highlight all that you need, where you need to format, and then you go to you select format cells. Then to the border, I want to remove all these borders here. You can I want to remove all these ones here, that way, so that I don't have it at that point. Then just always confirm your cell references, because whenever you move it, they are going to change. I'm assuring you of that. So when you look at this, it's not the collection, it's not the total that you needed to carry forward. So whenever you move it, unless you lock those cells, they are going to shift. So I move that and I select a new reference, the one that is supposed to be in place, and then I call on that. So my print preview is looking like that. So this is the collection, and I can see there is, alright, that looks okay. So that is now my new collection. So it means I need now to introduce an all new item to this other part. So I will copy, I will just get to this other part, because I want to include, you remember that cell 1 and cell 2, I mean row 1 and row 2 are recurring in all the rest of the pages. So I don't need to copy it, but I can copy this one here, this page, with all its characters, so that I paste it to the next page. I paste it here. So in this case, this is now going to be bill 2. but because I don't want the items on the side, so I'll just highlight everything here. I highlight everything there, and then I deselect. Just press on Control, then I don't know why it's not coming. Yes, I want to deselect all these other items. Yeah, when you press the Control, they are going to be in place. So the next part that is left, actually the selection is, yeah, alternatively you can just select the area that you need to delete the items this way. These are the parts, because I'm going to have fresh calculations on this part, so I don't need to have all those other ones. So just select it straight away and then you delete it. Okay, so once you've done so, then I want to also edit on the rest of the items. I want to edit from item 1, so this is now going to be bill 02. For the bill 02 is now on superstructures concrete works. So that is what I want to introduce. Then we call it done. Superstructure concrete works. Alright, that seems to be going beyond that cell, so you can always wrap it that way. Just select on that cell, then you go to alignment, then wrap text so that it falls within the intended cell where you need it to be. So in this case, this it doesn't have this one here, so I want to delete this part. Just select that and you go to delete. So once you've done so, then you go to, alright, so this is about the concrete works. And what I need, the very first thing I need is this part for the concrete works. So I can decide to delete the rest of the items above it. Okay, whenever you delete, then you are always at will to introduce new items. So reinforced concrete class makes of that, and then the first one that we'll start with are the columns. So we'll do the columns of the substructure works, and then we do beams and so on. Alright, so that's remaining that way. So I'll also delete these ones here. Just want to make, just undo. I'll delete these ones, not everything, and then I'll insert. So I want the rest of the cells to be here. Okay, for the rest of the items that I'll be doing, of course, when I insert new items, I'll be having them in this. I'll be inserting new cells as we go on. Alright, so that is it. Carry to collection. So the rest of the editing I'll do when we start to carry out the superstructure concrete works estimation, where I'll be doing the columns, the beams, and so on. So for now, that's enough for what we intended to cover for this session. And I want to appreciate you very much for watching up to this point, and urge you that if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because you don't need to miss any of our upcoming videos. So kindly make a subscription to the channel, help the channel be in a position that whenever there is a new video for the channel, then you are able to find it and be able to learn as we move forward. And my returning viewers, I'm sure that this channel is elevating you in terms of what you are intending to know from it. And keep on track, everything will be in place and you'll learn a lot from it. So thank you very much to everyone, and I want to appreciate you. Have a great time till we meet again in our next session, where we are supposed to cover superstructure concrete works. Thank you very much. Bye bye.